We bring you this special radio television broadcast in order to give you the very latest information on an amazing phenomenon.
Hardcore is the future.
I'm a real. I'm a real.
Good evening. Welcome to the Redistricting Committee meeting. We're actually going to give people a little more time to review the maps that are displayed over to our left, and we will begin in 6 minutes at 5:40. Good evening. This meeting is called to order. Welcome to the June 21st El Paso County Commissioner Redistricting Commission meeting. And I'm a county commissioner from Commissioner District 5. We do have a full commission present with Commissioner Williams attending online. Today, we're pleased to be here at Mountain View Academy, which is in County Commissioner District 2. In accordance with the statute that established the commissioner redistricting process, we will have one listening session in each existing commissioner district in El Paso County. An important part of each meeting will be to solicit specific feedback from any resident of the commission district we are in on any particular day to get their feedback on certain issues. As such, you'll notice that on our agenda that our public comment section is structured a little differently in these meetings, and that will give the residents of the district that we're in, District 2, time to address the district's communities of interest, political competitiveness, and maps under consideration. Members of the public who live in a different commissioner district will have the opportunity to comment after we've heard from the residents who live in Commissioner District 2 tonight. Also, we've agreed that the resident commissioner will serve as the honorary chair for their respective district meetings. That means they'll call the agenda items, monitor time, and otherwise run the meeting. With that being said, I'd like to invite Commissioner Carrie Geithner to take over running this meeting.
Thank you so much. Welcome. I'm glad to be here in District 2 and really looking forward to hearing from District 2 residents and all of our residents about their thoughts on our redistricting process. So with that, I just want to, for those who have not been to a meeting similar to this, I just want to point out some of the kind of rules of engagement, if you will, and that is for decorum reasons, we don't do clapping, we don't do cheering. There will be a time for everyone to speak during that public comment period, but let's please keep the noise level down and all of those things and show respect for all of our speakers here this evening. And so with that, I will ask if there are commissioners that have any opening remarks. Okay, so item 2.
Item number 2 is the update on the creation of maps based on the previous commission direction. Steve Schleicher, El Paso County Clerk and Recorder.
Good evening, Commissioner. Steve Schleicher, El Paso County Clerk and Recorder. So I just want to sit there and go back and talk a little bit about and summarize our meeting that we had on June 12th in District 1. So the directive from the Board of County Commissioners at that time was to focus on South Central, Southeast Colorado Springs, keep more of El Paso County Eastern Plains together, try to keep School District 49 in one commissioner district, add another local countywide race to be used for political competitive study, do not move Fort Carson from Commissioner District 4, communities of interest that you shared were Security, Whitefield, Fountain, South Central Colorado Springs, Southeast Colorado Springs, Patty Jewett neighborhood, which was a topic of discussion in our last meeting. And also focus on including Monument and Black Forest in one district and focus on the ongoing growth in districts 1, 2, and 4. So far, we have basically come up with 3 maps to share with you today. Also, I have taken a review of public maps. So today, there's been 3 maps that have been submitted onto the public website. One map has not been reviewed by staff because a handful of precincts have gone beyond the boundary lines. And another was reviewed and will be presented here throughout our presentation. The other thing is, if I can get the commission's permission, is on June 12th, we basically put the PowerPoint presentation up on the screen, and I think we did it backwards. I actually think we should have the map presentations up there, and I read from the PowerPoint because people want to visually see what is going on in their district, within their neighborhood. And folks can actually, if they hit the QR code, they can pull up the PowerPoint presentation at any time and also follow through there. So is everybody okay with that, the format, just having the map up there?
there any objection from commissioners to that approach? Okay.
If I might ask a question, just reiterate for me, Madam Chair, if I might ask a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Which map do you intend on having up on the screen? Are you going to just show them all, or what map will you have up on the screen while we're going through the deliberations? Like the current map of the current districts?
Absolutely. So Commissioner, we're going to go through map 1. We'll have that up there. As soon as we sit there and answer any questions on that, we're going to map 2. We'll
Okay.
pull that one up there. So we'll have all 3 maps up.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. So as you can see here, this is map option 1. So what we were focusing on was Town of Palmer Lake and Town of Monument moving into Commissioner District 1. And as Sydney zooms in, you could actually see where we have changed those precincts as far as Palmer Lake and Monument going into Commissioner District 1. We also focused on Patty Jewett neighborhood moving into Commissioner District 3. And we focused on South Central, Southeast Colorado Springs moving into Commissioner District 5, as you can see here, where we made some changes by moving precincts out of District 4 into District 5 and made some changes there. So on map option 1, we're looking at the total population for District 1 being 143,953. So we lightened that a little bit per your direction because we're looking for growth. District 2, 144,531. Again, we're off about 2,000 total population from deviation on that to allow for growth. District 3, we built that up per your direction. That is at 148,160. So we overpopulated by 1,605 total population. District 4, we brought that down by 1,150 citizens to 145,405. And District 5, we boosted up because there's absolutely no growth in our city to 150,724. So we boosted that Commissioner District up by 4,169. The overall deviation, and as we have spoken about before, is we need to be within plus and minus 5%. So this map, we were at 4.62%. So being in that range, we're still really good. So looking at this map, total precincts moved. We moved 16 precincts. The total affected population is 67,624, which is 9.23% of total population. The total affected active voters is 37,121, which is 7.68% of our total affected active voters. As you can see, is I provided data in there in regards to total population by racial ethnicity. This map on total population of racial ethnicity is in Commissioner District 5. We are seeing an increase in Hispanic or Latino by 3.14%, and then bringing the white Caucasian down 4.81%. Everything, the other districts remained pretty flat. The voting age, racial ethnicity is in District 5. It is increasing 4.66% for white Caucasian. Hispanic in District 5 is losing about 1.7% for voting age. So talking about communities of interest and compactness, starting with Commissioner District 1, I feel that it is sufficiently compact, low population to allow for growth per your direction. District 1, as you can see, includes City of Colorado Springs, Town of Palmer Lake, Town of Monument, Glen Eagle, Northgate, Woodmore, Briargate, and Black Forest. And it's also included in the Wildland Urban Interface. Commissioner District 2, the communities of interest, I too feel that this is sufficiently compact, low population to allow for growth, includes City of Colorado Springs, Cimarron Hills, Falcon, Town of Peyton, Town of Callahan, Town of Rama, Paint Mines Interpretive Park, Corral Bluffs, and the Off-Road Park. Commissioner District 3, communities of interest. Again, I feel this is sufficiently compact, has a larger population, includes City of Colorado Springs, downtown Colorado Springs. We included the Patty Jewett neighborhood, City of Manitou Springs, Cascade, Chipeta Park, Green Mountain Falls, Air Force Academy, and Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Base. And it's also included in the Wildland Urban Interface. District 4, sufficiently compact, low population to allow for growth, includes City of Colorado Springs, Security, Widefield, Fountain, Ellicott, Yoder, and Rush. We have the Colorado Springs Airport, Pikes Peak National Cemetery, Bluestem Prairie Open Space, Stratmore, Truckton, Peterson Space Force Base, Shriver Air Force Base, and Fort Carson. District 5 is definitely sufficiently compact, has a larger population, as I mentioned, includes City of Colorado Springs, and the major neighborhoods include Palmer Park, Nob Hill, Valley High, Memorial Park, Sunset Mesa Open Space, Awesome Bluff Open Space. So let's take a look real quick at political competitiveness. And that was one of the criteria you asked for us to also add in additional races, which we did. So for U.S. President in District 1, there's a 0.07 deviation from current in favor of the Republican. So we lost 0.07%. District 2, the Republicans lost 1.45%. District 3, the Democrats gained 1.77%. District 4, Republicans lost 1.47%. And District 5, the Republicans lost 0.40%. So really not much movement there. U.S. Senate. District 1, the Democrats gained 0.13%. District 2, the Republicans lost 1.10%. District 3, the Democrats gained 1.94%. District 4, the Republicans lost 1.17%. And District 5 is the Republicans lost 1.13%. However, keep in mind, many of these races is where there was double-digit wins on the Republican side, so really not much change in that one. Governor. District 1, Democrats gained 0.12%. District 2, the Republicans lost 0.98%. District 3, the Democrats gained 1.94%. District 4, Republicans lost 1.33%. And District 5, the Republicans lost 1.23%. Secretary of State. Democrats gained 0.16%. Republicans lost 1.10%. Democrats gained 1.89%. District 4, Republicans lost 0.98%. And District 5, Republicans lost 1.30%. Per your direction, I threw in another countywide race, which was my race. So Clerk and Recorder, District 1, the Democrats gained 0.11%. District 2, the Republicans lost 1.18%. District 3, the Democrats gained 1.81%. Republicans lost in District 4, 1.34%. And then District 5, the Republicans lost 0.61%. El Paso County Sheriff. District 1, the Democrats gained 0.08%. District 2, the Republicans lost 1.05%. District 3, the Democrats gained 2.19%. District 4, the Republicans lost 1.16%. In District 5, the Republicans lost 1.53%. So in summation, map 1 summary is that we were tasked to focus on town of Palmer Lake, town of Monument moving into Commissioner District 1, focus on Patty Jewett neighborhood moving into Commissioner District 3, and focus on South Central, Southeast Colorado Springs moving into Commissioner District 5. So to sum up each Commissioner District.
Quick question. In the PowerPoint slide, it says focus on Patty Jewett neighborhood moving in Commissioner District 5. And I'm hearing you say, and seeing reflected on the map, moving it into District 3 as a whole?
Great catch, Commissioner. That's a typo.
Thank you.
So to summarize Commissioner District 1, as I shared, I feel that the district is compact. The precincts moved total population is District 1 lost 4,389, the total population. We moved precincts 145 and 200 were removed and added 302 and 304. Right now, we're looking at 143,953 to allow for growth. And we are basically 2,602 total population from the mean target population. So again, that is a summation of District 1. District 2 is compact. Precincts moved, we total affected population is we removed 9,134 of our citizens out of this district. Precincts 193, 194, 620, and 627 were removed. No precincts were added. So total population, as mentioned earlier, is 144,531 to allow for growth. And we are 2,024 citizens from meeting the mean target population. But again, that was the directive to allow for growth. District 3, the district is compact. The precincts moved is we added 9,399 citizens to this district. The precincts that were removed were 302, 304, 601, 602, and 605. We added precincts 92, 93, 95, 99, 123, 124, 127, 173, 178, 179, and 200. And as Sydney zooms in on District 3, you will see where a majority of those came in and picked up most of downtown and Patty Jewett. Total population, 148,160. So this district is 1,605 total citizens over the mean population. District 4, the district is compact. Total affected population is we removed 5,690 citizens. We removed precinct 621, if you want to pull in, thank you, ma'am. 621, 622, 623, 624, and 625. We added precinct 193, 194, 601, 602, 605, 620, and 627. The total population is 145,405, smaller population to allow for growth. So we are 1,150 citizens below the mean target population. Then lastly, Commissioner District 5, the district is compact. We added 9,814 citizens to this Commissioner District. The precincts that were removed, 92, 93, 95, 99, 123, 124, 127, 173, 178, and 179. Added precincts 145, 621, 622, 623, 624, and 625. Total population is 150,724, which we are 4,169 citizens above the mean target population, which was the directive. So, commissioners, that is map number 1. And as stated, what we were focusing on was the Air Force Academy, Town of Monument, Palmer Lake, Black Forest, and keeping the Eastern Plains as intact as possible. So are there any comments? Are there any recommended changes to this map that you would like to see?
Commissioner Williams here. I don't have any comment, but thank you.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I appreciate the research on this. Looks like a viable choice for us to consider. And at the appropriate time, perhaps after you get through your total presentation, I have also a recommendation, and it'll be a recommendation for another map for us to consider next time. But I'll have an interest in your doing the research necessary to get to all of this statistical data on that. And I should be able to give you the precinct moves. Hopefully, I'll be able to do that successfully.
Awesome.
But
thanks, Commissioner.
there are some similarities in what I'll be proposing. So to map 1, there are also some differences. So what I'll do is I'll kind of base that, why I wanted to mention it now, is I'll base that kind of as a comparative off of map 1, and then give you, the differential to that. So, okay, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Commissioner.
Comments from other commissioners? Okay, hearing none, go ahead.
Awesome. Okay, if we could pull up map 2. If you guys didn't know, Sydney just got her undergraduate degree in GIS. So doing a great job here. So here is map 2. Here was the focus that was directed to my office on June 12th, is use map option B. So that was one of the original maps that we showed on June 12th as a base. Precincts 800 and 810, Fort Carson, stay in Commissioner District 4. You'd like to see Town of Palmer Lake, Town of Monument move from Commissioner District 3 to Commissioner District 1, which was the same request on map 1. Move Air Force Academy from Commissioner District 1 to Commissioner District 3. You also asked for minimal precinct moves and voter impact, and you would like to see Commissioner District 3 and Commissioner District 5 heavier in population. So some of the same requests that we actually saw on map 1. So diving down into it is the overall range and deviation for map 2 is looking really good. It's at 4.67%. District 1 is at 143,953 total population, which is 2,602 citizens below the deviation. District 2 is at 143,679, which is 2,876 citizens below the deviation. We bumped up District 3 to 149,133, which is 2,578 citizens above the deviation. District 4 is at 145,491, which is 1,064 citizens below. In District 5, we bumped up to 150,517, which is 3,962 citizens above the deviation. But again, the overall range is at 4.67%. We did 12 precinct moves on this map. Total affected population is 33,121, which is 4.52% of our total population. Total affected active voters is 16,931, which is 3.5% of our total effective active voters. Also broke down the total population for racial ethnicity. There is nothing standing out in regards to major changes to the total racial ethnicity on this map. Going into the voting age racial ethnicity, there is nothing that stands out from the voting age racial ethnicity either. It's pretty flat. Map 2, communities of interest and compactness. After review, I feel this is District 1 is sufficiently compact. If you want to zoom in on that, thank you, ma'am. Smaller population to allow for growth. Again, it includes City of Colorado Springs, Town of Palmer Lake, Town of Monument, Glen Eagle, Northgate, Woodmore, Briargate, and Black Forest, and it's also included in the Wildland Urban Interface. Commissioner District 2, as Sydney is zooming in here, sufficiently compact, smaller population to allow for growth, includes City of Colorado Springs, Cimarron Hills, Falcon, Town of Peyton, Calhan, Rama, Paint Mines, Interpretive Park, Corral Bluffs, and the Off-Road Park. Commissioner District 3, as we sit there now, go to the west side. After review, I feel it is sufficiently compact. It has a larger population, includes City of Colorado Springs, Downtown Colorado Springs, City of Manitou Springs, Cascade, Chipeta Park, Green Mountain Falls, Air Force Academy, and Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Base, and is also included in the Wildland Urban Interface. District 4, again, I agree, it is sufficiently compact. Smaller population to allow for the growth, which right now we're just shy of 1.7% growth per year. Includes City of Colorado Springs, Security, Whitefield, Fountain, Ellicott, Yoder, Rush. It contains the Colorado Springs Airport, Pikes Peak National Cemetery, Blue Stem Prairie Open Space, Strathmore, Truckton, Peterson Space Force Base, Shriver, and Fort Carson. And then finally, Commissioner District 5, I feel it is sufficiently compact. Larger population, includes City of Colorado Springs, Patty Jewett Neighborhood, Palmer Park, Nob Hill, Valley High, Memorial Park, Sunset Mesa Open Space, and Austin Bluffs Open Space. So as you can sit there and as Sydney zooms in, as you can see the precinct moves that were made. But let's move on to political competitiveness. Is for U.S. President, District 1, the Republicans lost 0.07% from current. District 2, the Republicans lost 1.17% from current. District 3, the Democrats gained 1.08%. District 4, the Republicans lost 1.17%. And District 5, the Republicans lost 0.65%. U.S. Senate. District 1, the Democrats gained 0.13%. District 2, the Republicans lost 0.97%. District 3, the Democrats gained 0.98%. District 4, the Republicans lost 0.84%. And District 5, the Republicans lost 0.96%. So no one there hit the 1%. Governor. District 1, the Democrats gained 0.12%. District 2, the Republicans lost 0.87%. District 3, the Democrats gained 1.11%. District 4, the Republicans lost 1.07%. And District 5, the Republicans lost 1.02% from current. Secretary of State. District 1, the Democrats gained 0.16%. District 2, the Republicans lost 0.96%. District 3, the Democrats gained 0.97%. District 4, the Republicans lost 1.04%. And District 5, the Republicans lost 0.78%. El Paso County Clerk and Recorder. District 1, the Democrats gained 0.11%. District 2, the Republicans lost 1.07%. District 3, the Democrats gained 1.02%. District 4, the Republicans lost 0.86%. And then District 5, the Republicans lost 0.75%. And then finally, El Paso County Sheriff. The Democrats gained 0.08% in District 1. In District 2, the Republicans lost 0.97%. District 3, the Democrats gained 1.06%. District 4, Republicans lost 0.92%. And District 5, the Republicans lost 0.90%. So to summarize map 2. Again, we were tasked to use map option B from the June 12th meeting as a base. Precincts 800 and 810, which are for Carson, stay in Commissioner District 4. You wanted to see Town of Palmer Lake, Town of Monument move from Commissioner District 1 to Commissioner District 3. You wanted a minimal precinct moves and voter impact, which as I shared here just a couple minutes ago. And Commissioner District 3 and Commissioner District 5 have a heavier population. So summarize in each Commissioner District. As we zoom in on Commissioner District 1, as shared, this district is compact. Precincts moved were 145 and 200 were removed. Precincts 302 and 304 were added. And we came up with 4,389 citizens that are moving out of Commissioner District 1. So the total population in District 1 is 143,953 to allow for growth. To summarize Commissioner District 2, the district is compact. We removed 10,007 citizens out of District 2. The precincts that were removed were 139, 157, 159, 620, and 627. There were no precincts added. Total population, 143,679 to allow for growth. Commissioner District 3, the district is compact as noted. Precincts moved, we removed 302 and 304 and added 200, 603, 604, and 606. And we added 10,357 citizens to this district. Total population is 149,133. Commissioner District 4, district is compact. We removed precincts 603, 604, and 606, as you will see there. Added 139. We removed 5,615 citizens from Commissioner District 4 for a total population of 145,491 to allow for smaller population to allow for growth. And then finally, Commissioner District 5. This district is compact. Precincts moved. We did not remove precincts. We added precincts. We added 145, 157, 159, 620, and 627. We added a total of 9,654 citizens to this district for a total population of 150,517 for the larger population. So commissioners, that is a summation of map number 2. Are there any questions?
I do have just one question. On the map option 2 summary, it says Town of Palmer Lake, Town of Monument, move from Commissioner District 1 to Commissioner District 3. I'm looking at this map. So 302 and 304 is what you are calling the Town of Monument? And Palmer Lake. But that's not, I guess that my question is, what precincts are you calling the Town of Monument? Because I believe that 303, in fact, I'm fairly certain that 303 includes part of the Town of Monument as well.
Yeah, so Commissioner, here as Town of Palmer Lake, Town of Monument, move from Commissioner District 3 to Commissioner District 1. Let me, yep. And so what we're going to do is pull up the incorporated Town of Palmer Lake. So that is actually where we did the incorporated of both Monument and Palmer Lake to include those. Are you able to sit there and make that the incorporation like darker black?
The overlay is a bit difficult to see.
So Commissioner, are you talking, if you want to zoom in right there. 302. Yep.
And this is Commissioner Williams. I think the precinct that I am seeing in green is only really accessible through Teller County, if I'm correct, and Commissioner Vanderwerf can probably clear that up, but it's my understanding it just includes 4 or 5 houses at the top of that you have to access through Teller County.
You're correct, Commissioner. That is a lot of Pike National Forest right there.
Okay.
Yep. But the pink that you see on the map, that is the municipality, Town of Palmer Lake. And the orange is the municipality boundary for the Town of Monument.
So can you, I'm looking for 303, is that down below here?
If I might, Madam Chair.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. So 303 already is in District 1, and I believe there is some components of Monument that is in 303, but downtown proper Monument is in 304.
Yep, I'm talking about the actual town boundary, though, does include.
Yeah, I think some of it does go into 303.
Yep.
And then 302 does include Palmer Lake. So that's Palmer Lake. The other challenge, though, with that is even though they're not part of the incorporated towns of Palmer Lake and Monument, this kind of this area of 301 that moves into this eastern region, there's a fair amount of population in there. It's just county jurisdiction instead of municipality, and for whatever it's worth, that's a community of interest kind of, consideration as well.
Commissioner, I would agree with that. Just going off when we were looking at the specific, we were tasked with is the Town of Monument and Town of Palmer Lake. So that's where we went with the municipality boundary. But I do know for a fact there are quite a few citizens that are to the west of that boundary.
That's right.
Yeah, what is 301's population? So that precinct right there, the 301 precinct, that's the green one, Commissioner Williams, we're looking at a total population there of 1,135.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any more questions on map number 2?
Commissioner Bremer.
I have a quick one. Again, in the summary regarding changes to Commissioner District 5, you see it includes the Patty Jewett neighborhood, and it's of course hard to tell by using precinct numbers, not at the street level view, but even just based on precinct changes within this area, I would think to keep Patty Jewett together, you do have to go all the way to that North Nevada corridor, which would capture like 126, 96, 171, 172, 170, like straight down that. And if I'm hearing the public input we've heard thus far, that is the part that they feel like is split. That the Patty Jewett neighborhood as a whole does not include stuff on the other side in that old north, what we call the old north end area.
Right.
So, so to me, that does not, I mean, the summary, it doesn't include the Patty Jewett neighborhood as a whole in this one.
So we are
Still
really,
back.
really close if we look at what we did in map 1 on Patty Jewett compared to map 2. And it sounds like what you're looking for is like, Steve, including those precincts for Patty Jewett.
It's 1 and 3.
Yeah, 1 and, but as far as the Patty Jewett neighborhood.
Right. And to me, in this map, it still looks divided.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, if I might comment on that as well.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So my understanding of this, the Patty Jewett neighborhood, so the Patty Jewett Golf Course is actually in 173, and the Patty Jewett neighborhood kind of revolves around that area. The line between 173 and 172 is actually the western edge of the Patty Jewett Golf Course, to give kind of a reference. So I think trying to keep Patty Jewett whole, and it's actually a fairly compact neighborhood, because if you go north of 172, you get into the 171 and 96 precincts, you're actually talking about Old North End area. So I think it's 172 and 173 that are the primary precincts for Patty Jewett being whole. And why I know that is because when I make my future recommendation, I'll have a recommendation about that. And I focused on 172 and 173. And I'm just not sure if that gets 100% of it, but it is more down in that area with the golf course being in 173.
Yep. No, that's a good question. So is map 1 closer to what you guys are looking at right now, which is, yep. So as we see here, those are the precincts that we moved into 3.
So if I might answer that, I'd say on map 1, because 173 is being moved to 3, I think that deals primarily with the Patty Jewett neighborhood being whole, kind of a consideration.
Yep.
But when I make my recommendation, I'll actually be recommending just adding 172 into District 5, so that Patty Jewett could be whole, but it would be in 5 instead of in 3.
Okay.
So.
All right.
So I'm going to go back to this 303. The prior mayor of Monument lived in precinct 303, I happen to know. So I don't think that we have achieved putting Monument whole into District 3 without 303 being there. So my recommendation would be to include 303. And then it's very difficult to see with the layers. I know you tried to put up there the town of Monument. So help me out here a little bit. It's very difficult to see with all the different colors layered in here. But I believe that that 315, this looks like the Jackson Creek area, which is, I believe, also a part of the town of Monument.
It is.
So again, I would say we haven't quite achieved getting those getting that together if we're trying to keep the town of Monument together. So I would almost say 303, that 319, 315, that those would need to be brought in, obviously, meaning we have to subtract from other places. But if the intent is to get Monument as the town boundary into the same district, it doesn't seem like we're quite there.
So Commissioner, it is in District 1.
No, to 3. That was the map 2. Criteria was town of Palmer Lake and town of Monument move from Commissioner District 1 to Commissioner District 3.
Okay.
So we still right now have Monument split.
So just to recap, is the focus on map option 2 was to use map option B as we showed in June 12th as a base. Precincts 800 and 810, Fort Carson stays in Commissioner District 4. Town of Palmer Lake, Town of Monument moved from Commissioner District 3 to Commissioner District 1.
This says District 1 to District 3. I guess I would iterate, though,
That my
that
mistake.
it's still, yeah. So
Yep.
is this a typo, or can you help me understand what the intent
No,
was?
Commissioner, you're absolutely right. In fact, it is a typo. So what we have done is move that from Commissioner District 3 to Commissioner District 1. So everything that's in red now resides in District 1.
Okay, so
That is a typo. So what I will do, so right now you guys caught 2 typos, and we will put an amended PowerPoint presentation up on the site for the citizens.
and the reason that I'm kind of asking this is I'd have to go back from the meeting, but I know that was kind of one of my hopes and directions, was to see that as the western side be kind of united on that west. So is there another map that includes that?
In fact, we're getting ready to go on to map 3
Okay.
to show you that one. But also to go into is if we sit there and we pan on this map and if we work ourselves east, the other task was to try to keep as much as Black Forest. And we did as much as we could, due to population, but we kept a lot of Black Forest in Commissioner District 1.
Okay, Commissioner Bremer?
Yes, thank you. And understand, please, that I wouldn't be one to point out insignificant typos, but I think for clarity of the entire process, these are actually, both of the ones that have been pointed out are pretty significant if people are relying on the summaries. So thank you for the work that's being put in here. And I know that the detail is in actually looking at and digesting the maps. But I do think it's important to have the correct district numbers on the summary as well. So I hope you don't see that as simple typos. I think it's pretty significant to the actual process of what we're trying to do with precincts and transparency with this whole process.
Absolutely.
So,
I would
thank you.
agree. Okay, so moving on to map option 3. The direction on this was try to go with school districts, look at their boundaries. One of the comments that were made is to see if we can get as many of these school districts, such as School District 49, whole and remain in Commissioner District 2. Town of Palmer Lake, Town of Monument, whole in Commissioner District 1. Southeast Colorado Springs in Commissioner District 5, and Patty Jewett neighborhood in Commissioner District 3. So the total overall range and deviation on this map is 4.88%. Total population for District 1, 145,657. So we shorted that by 898 citizens. District 2, We removed 3,851, where we have a population of 142,704. District 3, we boosted up to 149,813. So we basically were 3,258 citizens above the target deviation. District 4, we're at 144,741. So we are minus 1,814 citizens below the target deviation. District 5, we boosted up as we've done with the other maps to 149,858. So we are 3,303 citizens above the target deviation. So again, the overall range is 4.88%, so we meet the 5%. There were a total of 38 precinct moves in this map. Total affected population is 92,604. That's 12.64% total population. Total affected active voters, 53,827, which is 11.13%. Going to total population of racial ethnicity. This map, we are looking, we did not find any outliers in districts 1, 2, 3, or 4. However, in this map, District 5, we're losing 3.99% Hispanic Latino, and it's gaining 5.72% white Caucasian. Now going into the voting age racial ethnicity, I'm not seeing much variance in districts 1, 2, 3, or 4, but in District 5, it is losing, gaining 5.37% white Caucasian. Looking at this map, map option 3, going into the summary as far as interest and compactness, is Commissioner District 1, community of interest. I feel it is sufficiently compact. As we've done previously, smaller population to allow for growth. It does include City of Colorado Springs, the town of Palmer Lake, town of Monument, Glen Eagle, Northgate, Woodmore, Briargate, and Black Forest. And as the other maps included, it's also in the wildland urban interface. Commissioner District 2, I feel is sufficiently compact. Smaller population to allow for growth. It includes City of Colorado Springs, Cimarron Hills, Falcon, Town of Peyton, Town of Callahan, Rama, Paint Mines, Interpretive Park, Corral Bluffs, and the Off-Road Park. Commissioner District 3 on the west side, I feel it is sufficiently compact in this map, has a larger population, includes the City of Colorado Springs, downtown, Patty Jewett, City of Manitou Springs, Cascade, Chapeta Park, Green Mountain Falls, the Air Force Academy, and Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Base, and is also included in the wildland urban interface. Map option 3, or Commissioner District 4, I feel after review it is sufficiently compact, smaller population to allow for growth. It includes the City of Colorado Springs, Security, Whitefield, Fountain, Ellicott, Yoder, and Rush. Has the Colorado Springs Airport, Pikes Peak National Cemetery, Blue Stem Prairie Open Space, Stratmore, Truckton, Peterson Space Force Base, Shriver, and Fort Carson. Commissioner District 5 is sufficiently compact. We made it a larger population, includes City of Colorado Springs, Palmer Park, Nob Hill, Valley High, Memorial Park, Sunset Mesa Open Space, Austin Bluffs Open Space. So what we're also looking at is on district map option 3, talking about U.S. President. Deviation from current is the Democrats lost 0.19%, and so again, for U.S. President, District number 1, the Democrats gained 0.19%. The Republicans lost 2.20%. District 3, the Democrats gained 2.19%. District 4, the Republicans lost 1.94%. District 5, the Democrats gained 0.62%. U.S. Senate, District 1, the Democrats gained 0.46%. District 2, the Republicans lost 1.76%. District 3, the Democrats gained 2.37%. District 4, the Republicans lost 1.39%. And District 5, the Republicans lost 0.24%. Governor, District 1, the Democrats gained 0.42%. District 2, the Republicans lost 1.64%. District 3, the Democrats gained 2.30%. District 4, the Republicans lost 1.45%. And District 5, the Republicans lost 0.32%. Secretary of State, the Democrats gained 0.49%. Republicans lost 1.82%. Democrats gained 2.28% in District 3. Republicans lost 1.32% in District 4, and Republicans lost 0.24% in District 5. Clerk and Recorder, District 1, the Democrats gained 0.42%. District 2, the Republicans lost 1.99%. District 3, the Democrats gained 2.31%. District 4, the Republicans lost 1.64%. In District 5, the Democrats gained 0.49%. Lastly, El Paso County Sheriff, District 1, the Democrats gained 0.31%. District 2, the Republicans lost 1.74%. District 3, the Democrats gained 2.60%. District 4, the Republicans lost 1.42%, and District 5, Republicans lost 0.46%. So in summation, we were looking at the school district boundaries, concentrated a lot on District 11, District 2, District 3, District 49, Manitou. As you guys know, we're the only county in the state of Colorado that has 17 different school districts, where many only have one, and 13 municipalities, cities, and towns. So that was quite a challenge of trying to sit there and fit, and go off school district boundaries. Town of Palmer Lake, Town of Monument remain whole in Commissioner District 1. Taking a look at the communities of interest of Southeast Colorado Springs in Commissioner District 5, Patty Jewett neighborhood in Commissioner District 3. So Commissioner District 1, to summarize, I feel, as I mentioned, it is compact. Total affected population is 2,686 citizens were moved out of this district. We removed precincts 200, 253, 440, and 457, and we added precincts 219, 302, and 304 for a total of 145,657 to allow for growth. District 2, this district is compact. Total affected population, we moved out 10,899 citizens from District 2. We removed precincts 139, 157, 159, 160, 190, 193, 194, 219, 620, and 627. We added 151, precinct 153, 155, 156, 253, 440, and 457. Total population is 142,704 to allow for growth. Commissioner District 3, district is compact. We added 11,017 citizens to this district. We removed precinct 302 and 304, 601, 602, and 605. We added precinct 92, 93, 95, 99, 123, 127, 173, 178, 179, 185, and 200. As mentioned, we boosted this up for a larger population. It is, with this map, at 149,813. Commissioner District 4, district is compact. We removed 6,346 citizens. We removed precincts 621, 622, 623, 624, and 625, as you can see there. We added 139, 193, 194, 601, 602, and 605. It's a smaller population to allow for growth. So with this map, the total population is 144,741. Lastly, Commissioner District 5. This district is compact. We added 8,914 citizens to this map. We removed precincts 92, 93, 95, 99, precinct 123, 127, 151, 153, 155, 156, 173, 178, 179, and 185. We added precincts 157, 159, 160, 190, 620, 621, 622, 623, 624, 625, and 627. We boosted the population up, as mentioned, by 8,914 for the larger population. This map shows a population in District 5, 149,858. So that is map number 3. So the last map we have is a citizen submitted, and you all asked if we would sit there and do a review. So right now we're looking at is a map was submitted by a young lady. Her name is Miss Zukas, which came up on the June 12th meeting. And basically you asked if my office would go ahead and put this through the same test as we did all these other maps. So the overall range and deviation on Miss Zuka's maps is 4.42%, so it is within the range. District 1, total population she has at 147,542, 987 citizens off from target deviation. District 2, she's at 144,271, so she is shy of 2,284 citizens, so it's basically the same thing that we've been doing with our maps. She built up District 3 to 150,584. She brought down District 4 to 144,109, and she boosted up District 5 to 146,267. The total affected population by Ms. Zuka's map is 144,804 citizens, so 19.76% of our total population is affected. Total affected active voters is 88,699, which is 18.34% of total active voters. Taking a look at total population and racial ethnicity, as we're sitting here taking a look in District 2, is Hispanic Latinos is gained 3.75%. White Caucasian is lost 5.19%. In District 4, 3.66% of white or Caucasian is lost. In District 5, Hispanic or Latino is gained by 7.27%. Or excuse me, lost by 7.27%. White is gained by 9.81%. Voting age, racial ethnicity. In District 2, white is lost by 4.04%. And in District 5, Hispanic or Latino is lost by 4.39%. And white Caucasian is gained by 8.65% in District 5. So looking at political competitiveness for U.S. President, District 1 is Democrats lost 3.74%. District 2, Republicans gained 5.53%. District 3, Democrats lost 1.24%. District 4, Republicans gained 3.25%, and District 5, Democrats lost 4.51%. U.S. Senate, District 1, Democrats lost 4.54%. District 2, Republicans gained 5.97%. District 3, Democrats lost 0.94%. District 4, Republicans gained 2.82%, and District 5 is Democrats lost 5.22%. And you can sit there and look at the deviation as some of those got pretty significant. Governor, District 1, Democrats lost 4.29%. District 2, the Republicans gained 5.78%. District 3, Democrats lost 0.95%. District 4, Republicans gained 2.8% from current. And then District 5 is the Democrats lost 5.05% from current. Secretary of State, District 1, Democrats lost 4.28%. District 2, the Republicans gained 5.76%. District 3, the Democrats lost 0.91%. District 4, Republicans gained 2.70%. And then District 5, the Democrats lost 5.94%. El Paso County Clerk and Recorder. District 1, the Democrats lost 4.36%. District 2, the Republicans gained 6.31%. District 3, the Democrats lost 0.75%. District 4, Republicans gained 3.13%. And then District 5, actually this was a flip. The Democrats lost 6.65%. El Paso County Sheriff, District 1, the Democrats lost 4%. District 2, Republicans gained 5.64%. District 3, the Democrats lost 1.21%. District 4 is the Republicans gained 2.79%. And District 5, the Democrats lost 4.94%. So commissioners, that is maps 1 through 3. And based on your ask is also looking at Ms. Zuka's map. Are there any questions?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you. So I think for those that are in the audience here and for us, you can see just how difficult this is. I'll just make the point that I do see a few people in the audience. It looks like their eyes are glazed over trying to figure out all these statistical numbers. This is just hard to do.
Yep.
Because there's so many ways to do this, and then a lot of considerations, and in many of these situations, and I did say this at a previous redistricting meeting, there's just no way we're going to satisfy everybody no matter what we do, because there's so many particular types of interests. Now, having said that, I have a specific question with regard, it looks like there tends to be kind of a common theme. It's a fairly simple part of all of the maps. So the more difficult parts are other areas, but because of the growth in 1 and the growth in 2, just seems like a fairly straightforward approach to move the Air Force Academy into 3. Every map has that as a suggestion. The Zukas map has that as a suggestion, and also the one that I'm going to propose for direction has that as a suggestion. So, but what I want to ask is, because that is kind of a unique environment, one of these large military bases, I want to know just how the numbers are being calculated, because there's a large number of people that I understand that get counted for fixing the population discrepancies, but a fairly small number of people that actually vote because they're actually registered to vote in a different state. So if you could kind of refresh my memory again on what that means, because it's a unique precinct. It's a huge precinct with a massive number, but that's because of the small number of that total population that's actually registered to vote. So go through that one more time for me and also for the audience.
Absolutely. And Commissioner, that is a great question. That came up in one of our very introductory meetings when we actually passed the resolution to start the redistricting process. is per the bill that we are adhering to, we have to look at total population. We cannot look at active voters. It has to be total population. You are absolutely correct in regards to a majority of our military bases, you know, if it's Fort Carson, Air Force Academy, Shriver, many of these folks reside in another state. They vote in another state. They're not registered voters here, but they do count on the census. And so those numbers are way off in those precincts in regards to active voters to total population.
And I think maybe the way to illustrate it, thank you for that clarification, but the way to illustrate it is precinct 200 has 6,600 people by population, but a typical precinct by voters is usually around 1,500, give or take. So that means only about, you know, something on the order of about a quarter of the people in the academy are actually voting here in the state.
So commissioners looking at that, and I wish we could actually get it clear, is, you know, as soon as we click on in the tool and you pull that precinct up, we're looking at total population 6,611, as you mentioned, but active voters 783.
Wow.
Completely two different things.
Yeah. So the value of it is kind of shifting populations around, but it won't shift voting that much, as much as the population shift. So just for grins. And then, Madam Chair, I'll just defer to you for when would be the right moment for me to introduce another map. We'll probably have more discussion to do before I get to that, but I'm happy to do that at any time.
Yeah, are there additional comments or questions on this map before we move on to, and I would say, really,
We have citizen comment too.
there is, and then if you, item 6 is redistricting commission direction to staff. I would say that's probably the most appropriate time. So if you'll, hold those till item 6. Are there any additional comments, questions on the map in front of us or any of the other maps that have been presented tonight?
So this is Commissioner Williams. First, I apologize for not being there. Of course, I stayed home and the sky is totally clear, but every road I would have come on was closed down before this meeting. Research Parkway and Woodman and Lexington were flooded. So I wanted to apologize for not being there. I looked at the precinct map for 301. I was wrong. It is sufficiently, I think, close enough for a community of interest with Palmer Lake. So that might be one of my instructions, is to look at precinct 301. I know many of us go to a 4th of July picnic at someone's house who happens to be in precinct 301. So you'll be familiar with the area there. So it's not in Palmer Lake, but it's got a pretty good population there. That's my only comment.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Madam Chair, you know, one thing we'll do this evening that we did not do June 12th, I think it would be a great idea, is we are prepared as we sit there, we could pull things up and we could sit there and move precincts based upon direction.
Great, thank you so much. So one final call for comments based on the direction given at the previous meeting. Okay, hearing none, we will move to item 3.
Item number 3 is the Esri Redistricting Tool Demo. Carl Nordstrom, IS Supervisor, El Paso County Clerk and Recorder's Office.
Hello, everybody. I'm back to do another little demo. We've had some good interfacing, well, good public comment that we can read. We can't really interface there, but we've also had some interesting questions come up about the demo that hopefully I can direct me a little bit more on some of the things that we're looking at in our tool. Primarily just what does it mean to move a precinct, since we're moving census blocks in the tool. Something that I just wanted to clarify, when we were, I know that we were zipping through it, and for the edification for those that are not consuming this PowerPoint on a device or anything, which all of this content there's this QR code around the room that should allow you to get to the content from the meetings, content that we are putting out there to try to be helpful to the public or anyone who's accessing this information to be easily readable and consumable. But I believe we will be posting this on the public website as well so that it's more readily available there as well. Just to go back to some of the things that we were looking at, like competitiveness. So just to clarify some language, so as you see a blue on this deviation, there is no loss here. It's Democrats gained or Republicans gained. So when we're looking at that data, it's important to understand that this, for example, on this one, this is 0.12 is a Democratic gain, where 0.98 is a Republican gain. So if we were saying some group gained or some group lost, we would have to be using the same group. So this is really, it's more of gaining in the left direction or gaining in the right direction. So as we're consuming this data, that's where we tried to make it kind of clear that it was blue is gaining in the Democrat direction and red is gaining in the Republican direction. And it's a little bit similar when we were looking at this data. Positive is in a positive direction, negative is in a negative direction. So for example, this is gaining almost 4% and losing 5.72%. So just to kind of clear some of that language up. In regards to our tool that we're using, just open up the template plan that we have available. For anyone that is looking at this tool for the first time, there's a lot going on. And so it's really mainly cut into three parts, and that is your a huge chunk of data across the bottom here to look at as you're changing district lines to see where the changes are impacting, to see your data change at the bottom. You also have these tabs at the top that kind of help you in changing what it is that you're doing in the map, and then of course the map itself down below here. So from this screen, when you go to the URL that's provided to the public, you have the ability to create an account. Once you've created an account, you'll be able to sign into the tool. This is an internal thing, so you won't be seeing that. Once you'll be presented with the option, you won't have as many options as I do here, but you'll be presented with the option to open one of the template plans, which is just using the commissioner districts as they are currently drawn, or you can create a plan, which allows you to create a plan from scratch. In order to submit a map in this tool, though, for our districts, you have to make sure that you have 5 districts and that you have your maximum deviation of 5%. Everything else is pretty much, there's only one option. We just have our county census population information to use. That said, I think if I'm I just open a test map here. Oh, that's not good. Okay. I'm going to have to use my own. Okay. So once we have a map open that we're ready to start utilizing. An important thing to know is that on the side here, on the left-hand side, we end up having a contents tab that shows everything that's displayed is just kind of all layers stacked on top of each other. And as we've seen before, you got to take some of those layers off if you want to be able to navigate the map in a way that kind of makes sense so that you can see what you're doing. So what we tend to do is we have a bunch of reference layers here that you can use as examples for if you're trying to look at the current commissioner districts. If you're looking at school districts, there's a yellow boundary here. If you're looking at Senate districts, House districts, there's congressional districts in there as well, if you'd like to utilize those as references when drawing a map. What we tend to look at is the precincts because we're changing by precinct, and we also look at our adjusted population census blocks here. When it comes to moving a precinct, for example, we've heard that sometimes there is a challenge in just not selecting a precinct and having it just go to the district that you want. What we generally do is we will zoom into the precincts that we're looking at fairly closely, and we will select them. Up here, you can choose the district you want. So in this case, I'm choosing for District 5, and I'm selecting a portion of these census blocks. At any time, I can turn off these census blocks if I just want to look at the precinct as it is, and see some of the features beneath it. To see, maybe I'm trying to create a map that's respecting this northern boundary, this road here, a little bit more. Then I would be selecting as much of that precinct as possible. And as you can see, it's selected as many of the census blocks that that square interacted with. However, you'll see that there's also a couple here that are kind of stragglers. So what we've been asked about is to take a look at that so that the public and whoever's using the tool can kind of understand that a little bit more. And so, like, for example, what I tend to do is I'll turn off my census block so that I can see my precinct boundaries clear in the red, and then I'll turn them back on so that I know that when I'm selecting, I'm grabbing as many of those as possible and I know what I'm missing. So hopefully that clears up a little bit of some of the confusion that folks had in terms of grabbing a whole precinct. And I know that some of the other tools are a little bit user-friendly in that regard. However, this tool is a bit more advanced in that the foundation is the census block. And there are some cases where it's very close, even if you look close here, where a precinct line and a census block don't match up perfectly. So this tool is looking at what is the feature that is guiding a redistricting process. Unfortunately, it's not precincts, it is census boundaries. So that's why this tool is utilizing that. That said, when we are moving things, you may have noticed as I was moving things, it's kind of hard on the screen up there to see them moving. However, this data down here at the bottom is population data. So this gives us, we have the ability to see total, we have the ability to see total breakdowns of ethnic groups, and then we have the ability to see voting age breakdowns of ethnic groups. As we go through the process of drawing maps, since one of the main guiding principles is looking at that overall deviation from the most and least populous district to be within 5%, we tend to look at overall total population. It's something that helps so that if we end up, for example, making a map, just to give an example, if we start looking here in the middle between District 5 and District 2, and we start looking at, well, maybe I want to start looking at Academy here as a boundary, or maybe I want to say from 3 to 5, I want to use Union as a boundary here. If I start grabbing this population, all of a sudden, it's kind of a puzzle you have to solve, because then now all of a sudden District 3 is 170,000 people and District 5 has that much less. So that's something that's kind of a good guiding line, because you know if you get to a point where in a map where your total population is not meeting that the minimum requirement, it's going to be really hard for any of the other requirements to be met. So that's just something that we would kind of give as an advice. If you're building a map and you're not hitting that criteria, it's probably going to be hard as you get further down the road to meet the other criteria. That said, as you're going through, you can kind of see there's two checks that we tend to do. One is you can do an integrity check under the review tab, which just goes down the line and gives you a list of checks to see if this plan would be okay for submittal. Now, this is just our current boundary lines, and we have a maximum deviation check that is failing on this one. So that would tell me I need to go back and start looking at my total population deviations again. Another way is sometimes I will run a report and just open a PDF version of the population summary, and that gives a quick breakdown as well, and that tells me, whoa, I have a total deviation of 10%, so I need to go back to a little bit to the drawing board on my map. To speak to some of the options that we have available up here, I may have a couple extra, because since I have an internal account. However, the File tab is going to give us the options that you'd normally see in any sort of Word document or anything. The only difference is we have an import and export here, referring to you can create a shapefile if you'd like to use it in another GIS tool. You can, or you can create a KML, something that's been useful outside of this tool to navigate as well has been a KML file that if you export that and open it in Google Earth, Google Earth is free, and it's something that you can actually open on a website as well. And there's a lot of options available there to navigate those maps. So we found that some of the public has made that useful as well. So you have the option to either just make an image of your map, a shapefile of your map. Fixed text format is less useful but has a lot of information in it. We've noticed that there are some of the tools that are being used that might not perfectly line up with this tool because they don't have all the precincts in them, which is why we had to recreate the Shukas map in our tool because it wouldn't import correctly. So it's something that we'll have to consider because ours has all 328 precincts, but we've noticed some of the tools, if they have zero population in them, just don't have those precincts in them. So keep that in mind if you're using any of the redistricting tools available online. I don't know if I can take questions during this.
Yeah, so this is just a presentation at this point, so we can make sure you get your questions answered before we leave tonight.
But just cruising through here, the tool does have quite a few view options. I've noticed that just the standard default view options really work well. I haven't had to change any of these as we worked on things. And then the review, I've kind of gone through a little bit of what you can do to review the integrity of the map you create. However, we like to open the template map so that it is something that you can open another plan and essentially overlay it on top of your plan. And that's where you can kind of see those hash marks where you have differences in precincts, and see you can, if you have two maps stacked on top of each other, you can also look at the comparison tab on your data below and see where your population differences are as well. There's the ability to share as well. This allows you to, if there are groups of people that are working together or just individual users that would rather work together, you can invite each other in this manage groups area, and you can that's where you can essentially be opening other people's maps and comparing it with your own. You can also compare submitted maps as well. As once someone submits a map, you'll notice if you've submitted a map already, it's submitted forever. So it's not something that you can go back and delete. It's something that's submitted. So if you wanted to submit another map or another version, you just have to rename it and resubmit it. And that's just the nature of the process of a submitted map we shouldn't have the ability to delete it, and therefore the user doesn't either, so that once it's submitted, it is a submitted map. And then, of course, the last tab is just to submit your map. And what that will do is it'll go through the, this tells me I have to save it, but it'll go through that check process again, where it'll give you the feedback on if your map has actually met those minimum criteria on the statistical side in order to be submitted. In this case, this map would fail here, and it would tell me that I have to make sure that these deviation checks are corrected before I submit it.
This is Commissioner Williams. Is there a place on here where your maps A, B, C, D, and E are? The maps that we've talked about in the last meeting?
We don't have them available in the tool. We do have them available as PDFs to be viewed as maps.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, that's something that could be discussed and talked about as far as its availability in the tool. We could, if that's something that, if the commission would like us to essentially submit those maps so that everyone can see those along with the 3 additional that we've done, by all means, that's something that we can do.
Okay, thank you.
So since that has been brought up by Commissioner Williams, I guess I would ask for the rest of the commission. It sounds like, Commissioner Williams, that is something that you would be interested in seeing done?
I would. Since I'm home, I've been kind of playing around with the Esri tool. And so it might be something I would be interested in having done.
Is the commission amenable to asking those to be uploaded so that they can be accessed for comparison?
So for me, I have no objection to that.
Okay.
All right.
Great idea. Thank you.
Yep. And so I know that I usually kind of zip through a bit of this quickly, and there's a lot here. But what I would recommend to anybody who is interested in things that, if you're frustrated by any parts of the tool, or if there's something that seems cumbersome or something that there's interest for more instruction on, we welcome the public comment area on our redistricting website to be utilized for that, so that if folks go here and you post a public comment, we've gotten a lot of comments in here that have been useful in terms of providing more data than we have, and making some changes within the tool to make it a bit more user-friendly for the public as well. So if you do have issues with the tool that you'd like to bring up that maybe doesn't get addressed in the meeting, there is another option to kind of let us know. So we welcome the public and anybody who's interested to post a public comment so that we can address those. That's all I have.
Madam Chair, a couple of questions.
Go ahead, Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Thank you very much. So this thing looks daunting and complicated at first, but I've now gone on it and have found it to be actually pretty reasonable. And so if I could just ask you to do a couple of things just to make sure everybody in the audience can see this, and maybe, if it's recorded, other people will be able to see it. But the first thing I want to do is mention how I get to the tool, because that might be a little confusing for people. If you might open up a new window and just go to the El Paso County homepage. Not this page, but the homepage. So this is easy to search. Now, if you scroll down and keep going, now you go to the redistricting website. Now, why I'm mentioning this is it's really easy to find the homepage for the county, and this is how you actually get to this. So I think if you scroll down, you get to where the tool can be pulled up, and there's the redistricting tool. And then if you pull that up, you're highlighting it, thank you. And then that comes back to the screen that you were at before. You click on that sign in part. You do have to register, but it's instantaneous. So you put in an ID and a password, and you are immediately registered, and you can start tinkering with the maps. And then if you might go to the map page. What I found here that was very helpful the tabs up that are just above the map that say review, create, view, and so forth. What I did was I went to files first so I could find the current map. So I went to file and then open, and I looked for the current map, which is current commissioner districts, or yeah, whatever, whichever one of those works. And that allowed me to kind of start with this baseline of what we have at present. And then from here, I clicked on create. And then you're able, if you, under the display level, if you click on the hand, you can scroll this up and down.
Right.
Exactly like
So
that.
this allows you to pan.
Yeah, to pan,
this hand
thank you.
here allows you to pan the map. And that's a good point, Commissioner. If you're over here and selecting things for a district, and you try to then move the map, you're going to continue selecting. So something to consider
Right.
is you
So
gotta hit that hand again.
Under that district, the second box, not the one on the far left, but the second one to the right, and thank you. By the way, the back button that you just pressed is immensely helpful because sometimes
Yes, undo and redo is can be very helpful.
sometimes you think you're doing the right thing and it includes half of another district and you go, oh, that wasn't what I wanted, so you have to go back. But under district, the second, the square there, go further left. Yeah, that one right there. That one has been the most helpful.
Yes,
And then when you scroll in, if you see the red lines, those are the precinct lines, and this is something that I think is important. I would just recommend that when citizens want to try to make their own map, that they try to keep precincts whole, because if you split precincts amongst two commissioner districts, we get similar challenges like we had with the state redistricting and House District 18, Federal House District 7, where they put a little cutout of Green Mountain Falls in, and then you get a whole lot of confusion and a whole different set of statutes that you have to follow. So I would just advise anybody, particularly those that know what precincts are and work with them, is do everything you can to keep precincts whole when you're moving precincts around to try to get to the right kinds of numbers.
Yes, very, very much so. And I would just reiterate, our reference layers, they're all turned on, but sometimes it's just easy to have your precincts and your districts on. That's what I found pretty easy, because I can look at this map and I could see how compact my districts are. I can zoom in and just see things at the precinct level. And then as soon as I'm ready to start grabbing district stuff from one to the other.
You do have to select the district that you're going to move from one to the other, and you'll figure it out when you give it a try. And then maybe the one last thing, I go back to File, and then for the first time you save it, click Save As, and then to resave it, you can click Save. Now, what's nice about this, and you have to name it like you're doing, what's nice about this is you actually get to save your data on here, and that's really helpful. But your data is not displayed to anybody else. It's just your data and nobody's else at that point. Once you feel like you've got a good map and you want to submit it for our consideration, there is a submit button. So what happens is if you're saving, it's not going into public domain. You're saving it so you can get back to it later. The submit button is how you send it. So I just thought clarifying that would be helpful for people too.
Certainly. Oh, yes. So Sydney brings up a good point that when you're sharing plans with others, by default, if I share a map with someone else, it's going to kind of lock it for editing and have it only be in read-only. So up here, you do have the capabilities to lock and unlock your plan, so that if someone else is looking at your plan, you can shut it down so that they're only reading it, or if you'd like them to edit it, you can also unlock that feature for someone else to do.
Are there any additional questions or comments from commission members? Okay, hearing none, thank you so much for your presentation. It looks like we are ready to move on to item 4.
Item number 4 is upcoming meetings, recommendations, and general updates. Ryan Parcell, Executive Director, Government Affairs.
Good evening. While they pull that up, I'll just say, Commissioner Vanderwerf and Carl, that was a nice demo that you played off of each other, so thank you for doing that. Very brief updates for today. So 1 second here. All right. Okay, so as we do in each of these meetings, just want to point out that the date of our next meeting is Thursday, July 6th, 2023. That will start at 5:30 p.m. and that will be the District 4 meeting, so we're going a little bit out of order. The location for that will be Mesa Ridge High School. The information is there, and if anybody is taking notes about that, that information is displayed on our website as well, so don't feel that you have to capture all at one time. Then from there, our District 3 meeting will be July 10th at 5:30 p.m. at Cheyenne Mountain High School. And then our final district meeting will be July 17th, 2023 at 9 a.m. at the Regional Development Center on International Circle. Now, that's not to say that there won't be additional meetings. Of course, there will be. Based on the resolution, we're shooting for an August 15th conclusion date, which means that that is the date that we anticipate voting on the final plan. And the week before that, August 7th, this commission is responsible for publishing its final maps, the finalist ones that are under consideration, which the law says a minimum of 3, but maybe we'll have as many as 5. So not to say that has to be done today, but at some point we do have to get to the point where we've got our final few maps. For our deadline status, again, the website's been updated and operating for some time. Our new deadline for the members of the public to submit maps is July 21st, based off the action that this board took at the last meeting. We're still in progress for the district meetings. August 8th is the deadline for additional plans submitted by the Redistricting Commission. August 11th is the last date for written comments, and then August 15th is the proposed date for the final adoption. So those are the updates that I had real quick, mostly for the public's benefit, but yours as well.
Commissioner Brewer.
Thank you. Just a quick comment on that. We did receive some comments at the last meeting about the Commissioner District 5 meeting being at 9 a.m. And I just wanted to make a couple of comments that we worked really hard to get these 5 meetings spread out geographically across a very large county, and also a diversity of time and location, really to accommodate those who perhaps have shift work or can't come in the evening. So we really tried to stagger through the times. We also are incredibly grateful to the other facilities and public facilities that can facilitate our broadcasting to ensure that this is available to everyone and open and transparent. So I just wanted you to know that it was strongly considered, and we did our best. And we also are providing everyone with the opportunity to speak at any of the meetings, and that is equally weighted. And the only thing that changes about it is the order, depending on your district. So just wanted to clarify that we're working really hard to make sure everyone can be heard, regardless of when they work or when their other obligations might be, to give the opportunity to provide input. Thank you.
That's right. And again, to sound like a broken record, aside from anybody being able to speak at any meeting, there are the tools available online that somebody can submit comment outside of the meetings if they don't want to attend any of these meetings. And I do have to say on your note about the locations that have worked with us, special thanks to Mountain View Academy for opening up their doors for us tonight and being super easy to work with.
Okay, are there any additional questions or comments from the commission?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. At this time, I think it is about time to take a little break here. So we will go ahead and recess for about 10 minutes.
Thank you for that. 'Cause
We'll be calling this meeting back to order, so please take your seats. And we will be moving on to item 5.
Item number 5 is public comment. 5A, the Redistricting Commission will afford up to 3 minutes for County Commissioner District 2 residents for comments pertaining to 1, what communities of interest exist in the current County Commissioner District 2, and 2, comments pertaining to the political competitiveness of County Commissioner District 2, and or 3, other comments related to County Commissioner District 2 redistricting.
Okay, so we will start with this, and please do your best here to look at these and figure out which one you belong in, and make sure that your comments are appropriate. When we index this meeting and people want to go back and listen to those comments, it's helpful so that they can actually see the comments as they are listed on the agenda. So again, this is 5A. So if you are a District 2 resident and you have comments pertaining to what communities of interest exist within Commissioner 2, comments pertaining to the political competitiveness of County Commission District 2, and or other comments related to County Commissioner District 2. So you live here in District 2 and you want to talk about District 2 to make it simple. So if you are in that category, go ahead and please come forward. State your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to make your comments.
I assume you want me to sign in as well?
Yes, please, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Kevin Curry. I'll be exceptionally brief. My one comment is about communities, my 2 comments. One is about communities of interest. In the maps and presentations from the June 12th meeting, I noticed that Falcon was not mentioned as a community of interest, and I really think it should be. I was gratified to hear Mr. Schlecker include it, and I would encourage you, please, to continue to include it. It's not quite as compact as some others, but there is absolutely a unique identity with its rural and urban mix, and there's a very strong sense of community out there. So I would urge you to consider it as a community and try to keep it together. And the only other comment relates to process. The presentations weren't available when I looked at them this afternoon at 1 o'clock. And so the maps that I was looking at were the maps A through E, and I didn't have an opportunity to develop good comments on the current maps. So my most one suggestion would be is if it's possible and not too much work for the clerk and recorder's office, if we could post briefings and maps about 24 hours prior to to each meeting, that would be helpful for the citizens. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I will kind of address a couple of those items. I think, Mr. Schleicher, if I'm not mistaken, I believe at the last meeting, there was some commentary around what a specific area, I think it was the southeast, what that really was made up of, because it's not a defined area. Falcon is the same way. So perhaps Mr. Curry could give you his interpretation of what he believes is the Falcon area, because it is not defined. I believe that would be appropriate if you'd like to do that, so that we can include that. And then I wanted to address the comment about the presentations. I'm going to ask our county attorney. I believe we've asked about posting those presentations and maps prior to the meeting, but that is not allowable per the statute that outlines this process. So I'll just ask our county attorney to address that briefly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The concern is that there's a prohibition on communication outside of the publicly posted meetings. That's something that staff can certainly have some additional conversations about, but that would be the concern, is running afoul of the statutory prohibition.
Okay, so thank you. Just wanted to address that. We've had some conversation about that, but thank you for your comments and suggestions. And please do feel free to share what those precincts are, or that area, with Mr. Schleicher.
So, Commissioner, to talk about Falcon, although it does not have a boundary, it does have neighborhoods. So we can actually pull neighborhoods that encompass Falcon, and we could definitely go over that.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else for item 5A? That's you live in District 2 and you have something to say about District 2.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Gilbert. I am a resident of Falcon, Colorado, and this is my first time attending this. So thank you for presenting this. However, my question would be in reference to the redistricting. I understand that CRS 30-11103 does have time restraints for the board where you have to get these matters taken care of. My question would be, I see where the 13th of August, I didn't mistake, and I saw it on my phone, my battery died, that that would be the latest that anyone can submit anything to the board in reference to this redistricting. Am I correct on that?
So we'll make sure a staff member answers that. This period, unfortunately, we can't, answer all the questions directly. So if you could stay to your comments and then any questions that you have, if we can address them, we will address them. And then otherwise, we'll get staff to answer any questions you have. I
also would like to support Mr. Carey in his comments in reference to Falcon. My question would be, with this redistricting, I know it is already proposed before that, but what are the numbers, the exact numbers involving with those neighborhoods, Mr. Schleicher? And also any kind of, with this, I believe there's not a true representation of the community out there. And if you all would make an additional effort to put out more word that you are holding these things, because there are a lot of residents that aren't able to view they don't have computers, they do not have access to the information that you're providing. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, and we'll make sure we get the defined timeline so that you have answers to those questions. Anyone else who is here to speak on item 5A? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to item 5B.
5B is public comment for the Redistricting Commission will afford up to 3 minutes for El Paso County residents who reside outside of County Commissioner District 2 for comments related to redistricting.
So if you are here for item 5B, again, you reside outside of County Commissioner 2 and you have comments related to redistricting.
Good evening. My name is Candy Boyer, and I do live in District 5, and my comments are specific to the map 3. I do have to chide the person who drew those lines because the school district lines are not correct. I live in District 11, and they are trying to put me in District 49. And I fought that on the state redistricting as well. The folks on the left, the west side of Powers, live in District 11. That is completely different than District 49, the folks that live on the east side. So I would request that you put my precinct back into District 5, as I don't live in 49. The second thing I want to make you all aware of in regard to when you're moving these precincts around, if you move me out of my current district, then I will be in a different voting pattern. And I think that's a consideration that has to be made, that I have people I support, and you're going to be throwing me off track, off the calendar, if you change me from District 5 to District 2. Thank you.
Could you just state your precinct one more time?
My precinct is 151. It is on the very corner of Stetson Hills and Powers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there's the clock. My name is Jacqueline Armendariz Unsueta, aka Jax. I'm a District 5 voter. At the recent District 1 public hearing, El Paso County's staff invited the dozens of voters who identified Southeast as a community of interest in their comments to provide precinct data to define its boundaries. We believe the best definition of our community of interest, and one that will best comply with the Voting Rights Act of 1965, is all contiguous precincts in Southeast Colorado Springs with a minority population of 45% or greater based on census data and existing precincts. We submitted the 27 precincts that meet this data point in written comment via the county's website on June 19. Let me repeat that this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue of justice, integrity, and democracy. You are being called upon to end the gerrymandering of Southeast Colorado Springs. As a community of color, I'll repeat a question my colleague asked last time. Are we not one of your communities of interest? Otherwise, it is critical to call out some of the most absurd falsehoods commissioners attempted to perpetuate during the aforementioned public hearing. Commissioner Geithner, it is absolutely shameful to publicly state that advocating for Southeast as a community of interest is somehow disrespectful to military families. Check your white fragility and face the truth. The two are not mutually exclusive. In fact, many military families are also families of color and live in Southeast. Your hypocrisy in asking the public not to be cynical and divisive is noted with this hateful rhetoric. Commissioner Gonzalez, you do not represent me simply because our society, wrought by colonizers, would group us together because of our ancestry. To argue otherwise is an offensive lie. If you are such an advocate for Southeast, why was it up to the public to push for the recognition of our community of interest in these maps? No manches way. So, quick fact check. The only District 5 hearing is at 9 a.m. on a weekday. This does not mean that your times have been staggered for your hearings. That means there is only one hearing. That is 9 a.m., which affects our working class community of color. And we see through this attempt to disenfranchise us, and we think it is pathetic. Otherwise, I'm here again today to remind you that you can do the right thing as county commissioners. It is possible to choose a map that is fair, follows the law, and isn't racist. So we, the people of Southeast, call for the end of us being gerrymandered. Respect our votes. Thank you.
Hello, how are you? My name is Sean Walls. I live in the 5th District. I'm an organizer there. I was born and raised there. I understand the effects of the decisions that you all make at this table. I see it every day. And I really need you all to pay attention to what's happening here. When you split our voting power, things happen. And it's not just, positive things for the other side. As she said, it's not about Democrats or Republicans. It's literally about the survival of people, of a whole community that you represent. And that, I understand Patty Jewett has, great history and what all of these great things that's happened there throughout the history of the state or of the city. But where we're from in the Southeast, we are the heart of this place. And for us to be ignored is really offensive, and not just the fact that, we had the opportunity to come just like everyone else and, all of these things and whatever, we don't have access to these things. And for whatever reasons they are, you all know that. But then you put another barrier in front of us. I'm so mad that we are the one meeting that's different from all of them is ours while we're at work. So what are we to do? I'm gonna tell you what we'll do. Because you can ignore us, you can take your power and do what you need to do with it and whatever, all the people here can lobby for themselves and ignore us. But I promise you, you will hear us. You will hear us and you will feel us. And listen, I implore upon you to look at the cities in Minneapolis, to look at the cities in Portland, and pay attention to what's happening there. because I'm telling you, we have the power. We will shut this, you'll redraw those lines on demand. I need you to remember that. Thank you.
Hello, my name's John Gerald. I'm not used to being the good cop in these situations, but here we go. So my name's John Gerald. I am a resident of District 5, Pikes Peak Park, down in the southeast. I also am speaking as a former educator in Harrison School District 2. I have to say that map on the right that's uniting the school districts, I really appreciate that. I mean, I wasn't expecting to say anything like that today. You know, you're obviously listening to the people that are speaking, and at least, I don't think you'll vote for the map, but at least you are humoring us and drawing the maps for us. But I want to point out that that map did then take out Hillside from the southeast. So what I really want to talk about right now is something that was just brought up, which is the Voting Rights Act of 1965. It is in the statutes now. It was always technically a federal law here. So technically, the Southeast is gerrymandered against the federal Voting Rights Act of 1965. It is, of course, difficult to take these types of things to court through federal law. It is state law now. And with Alabama having their districts overturned by the Supreme Court, it's important to remember for everybody here, whether you agree with the fact that communities of color should be united or not, you can disagree with it all you want, but if we don't unite communities of color in the Southeast, then this is going to drag out the process beyond the process that they've outlined, because we now see there's not going to be a judge in Colorado who is going to want to touch this on their side. I mean, now that the Supreme Court has made it clear that that law is still in effect, even with the conservative majority that they have on the Supreme Court, it was a 5-4 decision to uphold that law. So with that in mind, what you need to do to save the county money and time and go ahead and get the process to the point where we can start looking at legitimate maps. Because right now you are denying everybody here the right to look at a map that is actually going to be drawn in the maps that they're going to be voting in. You are denying them that right so long as you do not unite communities of color in Southeast Colorado Springs, because they're going to get blown up when you're done. So everybody here, I don't care what side you're on, we need to get this done. We need to move past this. Well, I should not be here on July 6th talking about this again. The Supreme Court has made it clear that this law still is in effect. And Denver has, just like the evil Democrats back in the 1960s, forcing the Republican states to honor communities of color. It's happening here in Colorado. Please, let's get the process moving forward so we can look at the actual maps that we might be voting in 2024. Unite communities of color in Southeast. They've given you a solid definition. Those precincts with 45% or greater minority population, it will take movement of precincts from 3, from 4, from 2, and from 5, because that is how gerrymandered the Southeast is right now. Thank you.
Sir, would you be willing to answer a question? Thank you. You mentioned specific areas that you think did not. Would you be willing to state what those precincts were that you think need to be included that were
all the ones that were listed in the did you see the PDF that was uploaded a couple days ago? Yeah, those. Here we are. Precincts 194, 69% minority population. Precinct 620, 58% minority population. Precinct 190, 54% minority population. Precinct 627, 53% minority population. Precinct 193, 47% minority population. Those are the ones gerrymandered into Commissioner District 2. Then we have Precinct 605, 54% minority population, Precinct 601, 46, and Precinct 169, 48. Those are the ones currently in 3. Then we have Precinct 624 with 73% minority population, 621 with 64%, 623 with 64%, 622 with 61%, 625 with 59%, 615 with 57%. Those are the ones currently gerrymandered into District 4.
Okay, sir, I'm just asking, I want to make sure, I appreciate that you've had your time. I'm saying...
Oh, I thought I was answering the question. I apologize.
I'm saying on map 4, you said there were, Hillside was specifically left out. Can you be specific about which precincts?
I believe it's 185 off the top of my head. Yep, 185 it looks like.
Okay, and so, but you would agree that the 27 precincts provided constitute the southeast. There's no definition, but to you, that is the southeast.
I think that we can argue over what the southeast is in a lot of ways. I think this is the way that will hold up in court.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Amy Pascal, District 3. I'm here to talk to you today about communities of interest. As several have mentioned throughout these redistricting meetings, there are many, many communities of interest, all with legitimate arguments for what their shared interest. So many, in fact, that no district map could possibly take them all into consideration. I think we all can agree on that. However, while they all may have a legitimate shared interest, not all of them are of equal priority. I would submit that communities required to be in the same district by the Voting Rights Act of 1965, almost as old as I am, and Colorado 21 HB 1047 should be given the highest priority. Southeast Colorado Springs is one such community. This is a majority-minority area, but it's currently broken up into 4 different districts. This is called cracking in gerrymandering parlance. Not only is the current map cracked, all 5 maps put out last week were cracked. The maps today are better, but there isn't a single one here that has all of those precincts in the same district. And I would point out that instructions to staff to include a map acknowledging this community of interest were only given after loud protests in the last meeting. This is really disappointing. As I have said, I believe this practice is illegal. And since you don't seem to be aware of that, I thought I'd point it out. A definition of Southeast Colorado Springs by precinct has been submitted to the redistricting website. Thank you to Jacqueline Armendariz Unzueta, sorry for my bad pronunciation, and John Gerald for doing that work. This list includes color-coded minority percentages for your ease of use. In addition, a map keeping all of these precincts together in District 5 was submitted by Katie Chukas on June 2nd. She also kept intact all of the municipalities, which is also something that we have been trying to keep together. So I believe you have everything you need to make a compliant map. I look forward to seeing it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak under item 5B?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Lois Landgraf. I live at 1054 Kelso Place. I'm in District 1. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I had a lot of comments here. I crossed most of them out, but now I'm going back to some of them to say that, first of all, Madam Chair, are you considered chair pro tem? Whatever.
Chair's fine.
Madam Chair, I appreciate you establishing some rules for this meeting. I thought they would be upheld. I was appalled at the last meeting when people called you names and accused you of wrongdoing. And I understand that everybody has communities of interest. I agree with the former speaker. We all have different interests, and of course we think our interests are the most important. And I certainly understand the whole Southeast argument. What I don't understand is what is the Southeast, but maybe we can find that out eventually. I'd like to speak about the Air Force Academy. I live 3 minutes from the north gate of the Air Force Academy, 5 minutes from the south gate. I don't believe taking the Air Force Academy from my district is appropriate. In fact, the coach of the Air Force Academy, of the Air Force football team, lives on my street. We have innumerable kids who go to various activities on the Air Force Academy. In our community, I can't tell you how many parties were hosted on graduation day by the people who host and sponsor kids young adults who are cadets at the Air Force Academy. If they've moved here from North Carolina, they sponsor kids from North Carolina. Or if they were fencing people during their time at the Air Force Academy, they sponsor the fencing team. There were signs everywhere, not just our community, but adjoining neighborhoods, because we have such a huge population of Air Force people living in our community. There's not that many people who live on the Air Force Academy, as you proved, Commissioner Vanderwerf. There's not that many voters. Most of the people who live there vote elsewhere. So I don't think moving that back to 1 would be such a difficult task. And then the last thing I wanted to just talk about was perhaps moving all of Senate District 11 down to 5. It's only a handful of precincts, and that would keep that one school district whole. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening to me.
Hi, Board. My name is Rebecca Kelty. I live in District 5. And I wanted to thank you guys for, there's a lot of comments and a lot of complaints, but a lot of times you don't hear the good stuff. I actually see personally, firsthand, the work and the hard work that you guys actually give and devote to what you're doing for all the districts. I want to thank you very much for that. A lot of people don't understand the self-sacrifice and the dedication of your own personal time that you give to the community. And being public servants, you're never going to make everyone happy. This I know. So I want to thank you very much, and I hope that, and I know that you guys will choose appropriately for what you feel is best for our entire districts. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Rebecca Theobald, a resident of El Paso County and associate research professor at the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs in the Department of Geography and Environmental Studies. I am here today as a resident of District 3, not as a representative of the university. I spoke to this body on May 8th, 2023. At that time, I encouraged the members of the Redistricting Commission and the staff to provide a link from the official El Paso County Redistricting website to the GeoCivics website, which offers support for educators and community organizations in understanding the electoral redistricting process throughout the United States. These resources are all free and open source, hosted on the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs website. I again invite the Redistricting Commission and staff to link to GeoCivics for the convenience of community members participating in this discussion. I appreciate you and the staff for working with the Geographic Information System software company ESRI to adapt its redistricting tool to enable community members to draw their own county maps. In my work with UCCS undergraduate students, I have found the best approach to understanding a system or process is to have them try it out. I encourage all residents to make a map dividing El Paso County into 5 districts from which voters will elect commissioners who will serve our community. While many members of the public are prepared to offer comments on El Paso County redistricting or to create sample maps, others may find some benefit in reviewing additional background materials. One objective of community engagement is to discuss with civility other proposals and come to agreement about how best the people of the county may be represented in this legislative body. While the ESRI redistricting tool is very robust and offers opportunities for multiple approaches to analysis, it is not intuitive, although Commissioner Vanderwerf did a great job there of showing us how we can make it through. Very few maps have been created and submitted through the official platform, which is somewhat disturbing. And I understand that the proposed redistricting maps created on other programs will be accepted, but I would encourage you to work hard to use that ESRI program. GeoCivics resources are designed to guide students and community members in refreshing what they learned in civics class and to enable people to focus on key points of agreement and to identify where additional discussion will lead to a map where as many people as possible will be represented. As part of their service to the community, the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, and Colorado College will be offering 2 open houses and computer labs on their campuses for community members who might wish to obtain some guidance in how to use online mapping tool provided by ESRI through the county redistricting website. Those will be held at UCCS on Wednesday, July 5th from 4 to 7 p.m. and at Colorado College on Wednesday, July 12th from 4 to 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Come on forward.
I don't have a prepared speech, but I wanted to agree with Rebecca. Thank you for all your hard work. I've been on the tool. It's not brain science, but it takes time to understand. And I agree with Stan, you know, going through it, I mean, I got the hang of it within 30 minutes. It wasn't difficult. So anybody can do that. So I didn't submit a map. I was playing around with one as far as the districts go and changing precincts and trying to see how what I did and what I thought the map should be, how it would change the demographics and all those maps. I don't know the names of the reports that come out, but it goes through the demographics and the voting and stuff like that. So I wasn't off at all. It was within the standards, so it was really kind of easy to do. So I want to let everybody else know that it's not brain. You don't need to be a surgeon to do that. And what else? Thank you for all your hard work, Steve. I know you're doing a whole lot of work and your whole staff and y'all. I appreciate the hard work and how you're getting all the input from everybody else. So keep it up.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak under item 5B? Okay, seeing none, we will move to item 5C.
Item 5C is the Redistricting Commission will afford up to 3 minutes for non-El Paso County residents for comments related to redistricting. And as a reminder, Madam Chair, we do have 2 people that would like to make comments over the telephone.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone who is in the audience that is going to speak on 5C? Again, that is non-residents. Okay, so hearing none there, we were unsure of the residents of those who wanted to call in, so that's why we've reserved them for the end here, and I'm going to ask our IT folks to go ahead and assist us with getting those folks on the line.
Hello.
Hello, you are joining the redistricting meeting. Are you wanting to participate?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you have, if you can please state your name, and you will have 3 minutes as soon as you've done that. And you can start anytime.
Perfect. All right. Hello, my name is Christian Seal. I'm a resident here in District 2 in Cimarron Hills. As someone that believes in democracy at the heart of the American way, I'd like to know specifically from you, Madam Commissioner, are you willing to promise the public now that your commission will not draw districts in a way that splits up our minority communities to benefit your political party? I know that has happened around the nation before, and I am more than aware that you have appointed yourselves to redraw the maps. Thank you.
Do we have an additional person online? Okay, thank you.
Hello. Hello, you are
Unknown
joining the
participant is now
redistricting
joining.
meeting. Are you wanting to participate and give a comment?
Most definitely.
Okay, if I can ask you to please state your name.
Unknown
And then
participant
once
is
you
now
have 3
exiting.
minutes to speak.
Do I start now?
Yes, ma'am.
will not draw districts.
I'm sorry?
Yes, ma'am. You go ahead and speak.
Okay. My name is Joyce Sanders. I live in unincorporated El Paso County. I've been a resident here for over 25 years, near Falcon. And regarding redistricting of District 2, I believe it needs to represent all of unincorporated El Paso County. Although we have space between our homes, we're very connected in our needs and expectations of representation within the county. Sorry, I lost my place there. I submit to you that the rural unincorporated area of District 2 and 4 in El Paso County is a whole community of interest and should be a complete district in and of itself. Dividing the rural community into 2 districts skews the population to represent more urban communities and not the needs of the rural population. In HB 21-1047, Section 2 about community of interest, it's any group in a county that shares one or more substantial interests that may be the subject of action by the Board of County Commissioners. Such interests include shared public policy concerns of rural and other areas. And all of these support my statement for the need of one voice for unincorporated areas of the County Commissioner's Office to represent our unincorporated and our rural needs. I do have a question. Why not keep the already approved State Senate District 35 as District 2 for El Paso County? It's already been approved and it is known as a community of interest. Thank you for your time.
Okay, do we have anyone further online? Is there anyone else in the audience who'd like to speak on item 5C? Okay, hearing none, we will move to item 6.
Item number 6 is redistricting commission direction to staff.
Okay, so I know that Commissioner Vanderwerf has been itching to give some direction here, so would you like to go ahead and kick us off once we wait for staff to get back up here?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. And I've got a couple of things. The first one is pretty simple. And the second one is actually a description of a map, and I'm going to do my best to identify what precincts would go from one district to another. But I'll start with the first one. And that would be, I've seen this at other times, heat maps that help to explain different types of demographics or different types of information. So I think one that might be helpful here is a heat map talking about Civil Rights Act numbers. And I don't know what might be the best approach, but you know how you kind of have a color coding where you, as you go into, and I think it has to be done by precinct. So when you go into precincts that have higher percentages of people of color, then you get to a deeper color blue or a deeper color red or yellow or something like that. And I think that that can be helpful and informative for us. So that's the first one. And I think I do have a strong interest in keeping the precincts whole because we really mess a lot of the other things up. So I don't know if that's possible to do that by precinct.
So Commissioner, just to share with you is definitely we could sit there and look at incorporating a heat map. I'm very familiar with that from my previous job. The other thing is if I can just remind everybody is the importance of keeping the precincts whole. And the reason for the deadlines as far as coming up with an approved new commissioner district map is we have to enter all this data into our score system because we have an election coming right around the corner. So that is extremely important. And when we start splitting precincts, our local parties are not going to be able to hold their caucus. So that is going to have a huge impact. So when we initially kick this off, there are several things that we all discussed about, one of which is to begin with the current county commissioner map as a starting point, and 2 is to keep the precincts whole and to move the whole precinct and not split them. But what it comes down to is the timing, because our local parties are getting ready to start caucus.
Thank you. You're just adding credence to my recommendation to try to build that map by precinct. And I think it is important to do that. Okay, so that was the first one, the real simple one.
Commissioner Vanderwerf, would you mind if I add to that heat
Please-
map? Is
please
it
do so.
possible to get that as an overlay?
That's exactly what we're going to
Okay,
do.
perfect.
Thank you, Commissioner.
So that way everyone has access. Thank you.
Excellent. Good idea. Okay, the second one is I'm sorry. In doing my own tinkering with Esri, I came up with my own map, and I want to try to express the meaning behind it. And it does try to accommodate several of the comments that we have been receiving. And like all maps, it is not perfect. And there's going to be some things here that some people are going to take exception with, but we're just going to do the best we can. And I think maybe an iteration or two of this map might become a very viable idea. I also see the potential of what I'm going to propose here, maybe ultimately converging with some of the other recommendations as well. So I think there's some interest and value in having this as an option also. So what I did was I started with the existing map. So you know where all the precincts are with that. And then I tried to address some challenges. So the first one, I'll just kind of start on the west side. The only change between District 3 and District 5 is to move Precinct 172 into 5. I believe that accommodates the Patty Jewett question. And then going I'll kind of go clockwise. Going north, I have it as at this map. And oh, by the way, when I went through the numbers, I came up to really good numbers as far as target deviations on this map. So District 1 was overpopulated only by 180. District 2 was underpopulated by only 963, but that'll be one of the big growth districts. District 3 was overpopulated by 838, but that makes sense because as the other districts grow, 3 will not grow that much, so that makes sense. District 4 is underpopulated by 172, but that makes sense because there will be growth there. And District 5 is overpopulated by 115, so they were really, really close numbers. Okay, so going counterclockwise, this is now Air Force Academy in the Monument area, and I know that some people will object to this, but let's just get this out and build a map. Is moving Precinct 200, 303, and 310 from Precinct 1 to Precinct 3.
District 3.
I'm sorry, from District 1 to District 3. Thank you for the correction. Okay, and then continuing clockwise, taking Precinct 440 and 457 in northern El Paso, and moving those from District 1 to District 2. Now, these are the exceptions to what the current map has, so we just need to make the note of that. Focusing in back on the north end of District 5, moving Precinct 140 from District 5 to District 1, and that was just a small precinct to help balance. And then we get into the more complicated areas, but the primary purpose of this was to try to make the southeast congruent in a single district. And then, of course, in doing that, because those are very, very highly populated areas, you've got to make some other substantial changes. There's no way to avoid it. And by the way, if I counted it correctly, I think this is a total of 35 precinct moves, what I have on this map. What I find interesting is when you try to address that, you're forced into doing other things. So let's say you make the argument that you're going to try to get the southeast to be whole, but then in doing it, you have to add precincts into District 4 because you're taking precincts out of District 4, and the precincts that you can add into District 4 look like gerrymandering, but you have to move something in order to get the numbers to work. So, as a consequence of trying to make the southeast whole, you got to do something else that doesn't look right. So, but I'm going to just tell you what they are. So in the northeast, this is now moving precincts from precinct 5 to precinct 2, and it's a fair number. So let me kind of go through them. It's 152, 149, 165, 164, 150, 150. Did I say 154 already? I think I did.
You did.
Okay, and 152. And then let me make sure I've got all of that correct. And if there were any other precincts that were east of the line, I think that is out. Did I say 151? 151, 153, 155, 156. Okay, so that is that section. Now moving down, this is precincts that now have to be added to precinct 4, and it was not possible to do this in rural areas because there's just not enough population to accommodate moving the southeast into District 5. So you have to use a population area in order to get District 4 to have a sufficient amount of population. So in District 4, that would be 139, 195, 418, 415, 414, 162, 191, and 192. And it makes a little box there of a higher population to accommodate the southeast question. And then for the southeast, and also for just precincts that are west of the Colorado Springs Airport, it moves into District 5, and let's make sure we've got all of this covered. It moves into District 5, 193, 194, 620, 627, 623, 624, 625, 622, and 621. Now, in making those moves, I got to those really close numbers, and there's still flaws in this, but what I'd like to do is have all the analysis done on that map and see where it takes us. Okay.
Yeah, so Commissioner, what we will do is we will work on that, and we will also submit that into public comment on the website as well. So if I could, since we have some precincts, you mind if I read this back to you, make sure I got everything?
Okay, let's be hopeful I got them all.
Okay, so first thing I got is 172 going into Commissioner District 5.
Correct.
Precinct 200, 303, 310 going into District 3.
Correct.
440, 457 going into District 2.
Correct.
140 going into District 1.
Correct.
152, 149, 165, 164, 150, 151, 155, 153, 156 going into 5.
Correct. And that should produce an area that is generally looking like a block, a squarish kind of area. Okay.
Okay. 139, 195, 418, 415, 414, 162, 191, 192 going into 4.
Correct.
Okay. 193, 194, 620, 627, 623, 624, 625, 622, 621 going into 5.
Correct.
Did anybody get bingo? We would definitely do that. I'm sorry, what was that, Kristen? I did miss that one. Thank you.
Yeah, that grouping that has the 150 in it is from 5 going to 2. Is that what you were correcting? Yes, thank you. Okay. If you said it in reverse, I didn't catch it. And what I didn't have available to me when I did that, I knew I had balance. I knew that I accommodated some requests for communities of interest. I didn't have any of the other data, like where we get into political balance on these. I don't know if we mess it up totally or not. So, but I imagine you'll be able to get us that information.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Any additional direction to staff?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Comments, just wanted to respond to a couple of comments. I think the fact that I think there was some comments that this board has not been listening in some ways. I think what I heard at the last meeting was on communities of interest, the Southeast, Patty Jewett, Monument, some military. 2 of the 3 maps, I think, show Patty Jewett together, Monument together, and most of the Southeast together. And we just had another option here, generally doing the same thing. So we do have a board here who's listening to the public and wanting to do what's right. Like we always do, is we were trying to do and represent our constituents to the best possible way. I believe we should be continuing to look at these maps. I haven't clearly gotten to look at the map that Commissioner Vanderwerf has just mentioned, but 1 and 3, clearly, there's always going to be some flaws. You're not going to get 100% of what you want, especially when everybody's asking for everything. Okay, but I think what we started so far, and on these maps, and clearly 2 of the 3 maps, and the second one wasn't a new map; it was one based off of minimal options that just expanded from that last time. So that's why that one does not have the significant changes, because it's based off minimal precinct moves. But the ones that are substantive are bringing together the Southeast, just as we recommended and discussed last time, because this board is open and listening. And some statements from 1 or 2 people saying that that is not being accurately done is not accurate. We're listening to the public, and we're going to do what's right for the public. Thank you. And I do think we need to work off of options. Again, we'll look at Commissioner Vanderwerf's, but 1 and 3 are things that I'm generally want to look at options off of. Thank you.
Just want to make sure, Commissioner Williams, did you have direction to give to staff?
I think I've been looking at map 3. I'd like to see what Commissioner Vanderwerf's map is. I wanted to address the lady who wanted us to just take Senate 35. That's not going to make equal population because we do have to pick up some urban areas to collect all of those rurals. I didn't know if we could make more of an effort to try and combine most of these 600 precincts, but I think Commissioner Vanderwerf may have done that. I was trying to follow along as he went along. So those are kind of, I don't really have any ideas for a specific map. If we're going to keep, I do have the one thing I was writing out was to move that 1 precinct from 1 map that was near Palmer Lake, to move that into Commissioner 1. And I'd have to look at my notes. That was precinct. So the number 3 map, move 301 to 1, but then you have to have subsequent moves around all the way around to get to the right population you need. And that pretty much combines most of School District 38 and most of School District 20, with the exception of Rock Rimmon. And then on the tools online, we have the precincts by commissioner district and their population. I was wondering if you could just do an Excel spreadsheet that does the precincts in precinct order by population. So when we're moving stuff around, it's really easy to find the precinct number. And that's it.
Awesome. And Commissioner, we absolutely have that data, so we could probably submit that out on the public website tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Another question that I was thinking about earlier, and I just failed to mention it when I was speaking, but with regard to the precincts, you know, one of the other challenges that we have is when we have a lot of rapid growth in an area, sometimes the precincts gain in population where then they exceed statutory sizes for precincts. But we haven't been talking about precinct size changes. Do we have precincts in our doing this evaluation, which completely revolves around precincts? Do we have precincts that are in good shape that won't be forced later to be changed because they don't meet some kind of statutory requirement? I know the last time we redistricted, we made a small number of precinct changes. It was moving a few people from one precinct to another because one grew and one didn't, and then there were a few where we split the precinct because it had grown really fast, or there was like a new development that really changed the numbers. So do we have anything like that we need to be worried about in this environment?
After my review, no, Commissioner, I don't foresee that. Usually when a new neighborhood is coming in, that's why we're at 328 precincts today, where several years ago, a handful of years ago, we were just at, you know, like 100, just right around 200. So as these new subdivisions that are being built in District 4, District 2, and District 1, we are adding new precincts. So the existing ones look good right now.
Okay, great. So what we're dealing with and what we're trying to move around, the precincts that we're using are compliant.
Yes.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, just wanted to make sure that.
I have another comment, if that's okay. This is Commissioner Williams. So we do have an annexation request from Monument that's going to go up in precinct 310. And so 310 needs to stay with the town of Monument, no matter what. I don't know if they'll approve it or deny it, but it will be almost like going right up I-25 along Beacon Light Road. So.
No, that's good information. Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bremer.
Yes, thank you. You know, I think Commissioner Gonzalez addressed some of my my thoughts very well. That that direction and really, as many of you have implored us to do, just doing what's right was considered and has been brought forward to you today. And it's not perfect yet. And so you hear us to the point of throwing precinct numbers out to tweak that a bit. I also plan to submit a map on ESRI just to make sure the population works out. But knowing many of these precincts very well, I think that I have fairly easy to understand geographical boundaries for with several options based on population for a north, south, east, and west boundary of District 5, with a couple of things in mind. The big picture of balancing the population and knowing that the majority of that is happening to the north and to the east. So I think that moving those boundaries up essentially to the north and to the east would allow us to do what we've heard asked of, which is to keep several precincts together. I have personally circled every single one of them, and you're right, they span 4 districts. That I think we can come up with a way to put 26 of the 28 precincts that were listed in the comments and reiterate it again today I think we can put 26 of the 28 in a single district if I can get the population to balance, and then move the boundaries of District 5 to the north and to the east. And so I'll be submitting that, but roughly you have several options of that northern boundary. Could either be what looks to be Woodman Road, or just north of 239 and 245, whatever that larger road in the dividing precincts are there. I think, right. So those are two options with different probably population impacts. An eastern boundary of Powers that has one of two options. I actually like the idea of taking it all the way down to Platte or Highway 24. And again, that's where your 26 of your 28 precincts, you would not end up with 190 and 901 in Commissioner District 4. But all of the others technically probably could be. And again, there's a little bit of playing with balancing the population here. I do have, I mean, that is an option. And I have, you know, I feel like the term, you know what, actually, I'll save those comments for later. But I feel like, and then going, by the way, all the way over to I-25 on the western side, and then the other. There are several options. I will submit them all and show you these lines, but for the most part, it could be Platte, Powers, Woodman, or Dublin, depending on population, all the way over to 25 that takes care of the Patty Jewett community. And I think that in that way, we're probably keeping communities of interest together. And so I'm just gonna submit it on the tool, but that's where I'm heading. I think, and then in doing that, the 26 precincts would all end up then in District 4.
Awesome.
Okay, so I want to just summarize so we're all on the same page. So it sounds like Commissioner Williams is asking for an additional map, but based on one of the current maps with a few changes. So that's one that we will come back to. Then we have Commissioner Vanderwerf's map that you will have ready for us at the next meeting. And then it sounds like Commissioner Bremer is still working on her maps, but making you aware of what she's kind of working on that maybe we'll get to at our next meeting. Did you want a separate map?
I don't, thank you, Madam Chair. I don't need a separate map. I looking at the questions and concerns we've had, I looked at the submitted list. I think all, but maybe all or all but one of the submitted, what was certain people this defined as Southeast is included in map 1. So I would just be favorable to offshoots of perhaps other commissioners' recommendations based off of map 1, which largely, if not 100%, meets what was submitted as a community of interest for minorities. It is a good map to work off of. So map 1 is one I'd like to see utilized as offshoots for any of these other variants. And I'm very happy with the staff for the efforts on that map 1, which really does I think meet a lot of what was brought up last week and today again in meeting what the public was asking about. And so I'm very happy with the response from this commission and the staff. Thank you.
So if I can summarize real quick. So today I'm being tasked with working Commissioner Vanderwerf's map. I will work Commissioner Bremer's map once it's uploaded and analyze that. We will sit there and look at map 1, which is answering some questions, because what I wanted to ask was, are there any recommended changes to the 3 proposed maps? and it sounds like we got a good starting point with map 1. We will provide a heat map on racial ethnicity, but I also feel if we're doing racial ethnicity, we're going to get questions, is we will also provide a heat map on the political competitiveness. So basically, do that. And what we'll do is in the next presentation is, as I'm sitting here talking about racial ethnicity, political competitiveness, is we'll put the heat maps up there just to visually show everybody. Kenny, I'll wait on you just to sit there and see about the possible upload of maps and presentation 24 hours prior. I was asked that twice if there's a possibility, so I'll wait on you regarding that statute. In addition, is Commissioner Williams, I will put together that Excel data and with the precinct population that's in precinct order, and we'll put that on the public website where folks can download that as well. So it sounds like we got some work to do. But I think we're making some progress.
Commissioner Bremer, did you have additional comments?
I do, thank you. And Commissioner Gonzalez is absolutely right. And that was I started off my comments by saying we have one of two options. We can have my district go down and grab all of that, or we can draw the line and make sure, but the point being trying to keep it all together. And so I think in my mind, option 1 that takes care of that concern is what is in map 1, and option 2 is going to the north and east.
And lastly, commissioners, is if you can allow me the permission, as I mentioned early on in my presentation, is we've actually had 2 individuals of the public submit maps. 3, and I went ahead and analyzed Mrs. Zuka's map, but we also have Zurich Horowitz, who has submitted a map, and with your permission, if you would like us to analyze that, to put it through the same stuff, we could have that presented as well at our next meeting.
So I'll ask the commission, does anyone have interest in having that put into a similar format in terms of comparative data as the maps that the staff is creating?
I would like that.
To be honest with you, that's very, very close to exactly what I was indicating.
Yep.
Thank you.
The last thing that I would like to ask is everybody fine with the political competitiveness? I know we added races. Is there ones that you want to take away, ones you want to add to? But I know we got some significant countywide, national, statewide. Are there anything? How are we doing on that?
Any feedback from the commission on anything additional? I'll just say for myself, I think we've got a very wide range of data to look at from that perspective. So I am personally feeling pretty good about the information provided. Commissioner
Second
Bremer.
that.
Okay, so I'm going to throw one more curve at you. So you have a lot here, but I do still have, there's some similarities to one, but I would love to see an additional map that does a couple of things to clarify some of the things that were in previous maps. So a couple of the things that are missing to me that I would like to see, and again, I know we have lots of these, but I would kind of taking what we have on map 1, I think the comments about the Air Force Academy are well taken. So I would say move that back into 1. But I do continue to feel, and we're kind of balancing this whole Palmer Lake Monument thing and wanting to keep that together. And yet, initially I kind of said I-25 as a boundary there because I do think that there is significant wildland, urban interface, fire danger kind of things that community shares. So let's see how this works. But I would say, rather than putting it all into 1, can we put that into 3? Can we put Palmer Lake and Monument, the town of Monument, to be clear? Obviously, there are a lot of Monument precincts that are, the address is Monument, but unincorporated, but the town of Monument boundaries and Palmer Lake to the best extent because 303 there is definitely part of that 310, as Commissioner Williams mentioned. In that, trying to balance some of the population we're taking from there, obviously part of that is the Air Force Academy. There are a couple of precincts that I think have a mix of what could possibly be considered the Black Forest. So I'm going to throw those out if it's possible to move those into Commission District 1. I think that would keep more of that Black Forest area together. So that would be 441 and 219. So hopefully between the Air Force and those, that kind of helps balance, and I'm open to other things that you guys can look at, but those are some of the things that I would kind of like to see in a map that would help keep that kind of western area. I know that that was kept together in a lot of the independent redistricting maps and things like that too, because of that western consideration. So that's something that I'd like to see. Again, you're going to be able to move around the population, but I would agree with Commissioner Bremer that the population growth is happening to the northeast. So it makes more sense as you're doing that if things need to be adjusted to move those things a little towards the northeast to keep those together. So that's kind of vague. Do you have any questions for me? But at least those, if we can kind of trying to give you a good balance, and I'll work in the Esri tool as well. So when you guys come back with this map, I will maybe have better direction to get it, closer if it's a little difficult. But I would appreciate a stab at that one.
Absolutely. Well, and Commissioner, I got one comment and one question. The comment is moving Air Force Academy out of 3 back into 1 follows the same mindset that we discussed on June 12th of why it's important to maintain the school district, which was Fountain Fort Carson in Fountain. And remember, we got Air Academy High School, School District 20 on Air Force Academy. So that is something I just wanted to share as I was sitting over there and I was thinking is that was the same mindset that we did for Fort Carson. I forgot the question, so you're lucky.
Well, Madam Chair, if I might.
Let me just make sure he doesn't have did you have a question?
Well, the other thing is, I think what's also maybe important is to put some very true data of regional building permits, new construction. When we're sitting here looking at growth, that is extremely easy for me to pull and include on some of this information when we're talking about overpopulating and underpopulating areas, is I could pull that from PPRBD.
Sounds great. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So to your point, the recommendation, and it's another what-if map, but the idea about keeping Monument whole, and because I think that was mentioned earlier this evening, so I appreciated the map when you pulled it up about which precincts include the incorporated area of Monument. And in addition to the ones that are on the left in Palmer Lake, which is 302, 304, and 303, it also included 313, 319, 315, 318, and 210. And it looks like you're probably going to pull it back up again. So I think those are, there you go. So, along those lines, because 310 is split by I-25, that's up on the northern border, I would presume the thinking, Madam Chair, is that you would keep that in 1.
Any moves I would recommend keeping in within precincts.
Okay. So anyway, it's I mentioned it's 318, 315, 319, 313, 303, 210, and then the ones above. So that I think that would be the idea. Now, because that's taking District 1 precincts and moving it to 3, maybe the counterbalance to that is keeping Air Force Academy in 1. And then that may not be enough, but then we can make some other moves on the 3 border somewhere to figure it out.
So right now, we have a total of 5 5 maps that we're going to be bringing to the next meeting with reviewing of Zurich Horowitz. So we got 1 analysis. So we'll be coming to you with 6 maps.
The number just gets bigger.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think, does anyone have any questions or additional comments or corrections about the maps that they are going to bring forward for our next meeting? I see Ryan is approaching.
So, Madam Chair, are there any of the existing maps that you all would like to take out of consideration? Yep, so A through E and 1 through 3.
Madam Chair, I have a recommendation.
Okay, go ahead.
I think at this point, we kind of had a conversation in our previous meeting about just kind of keeping them all out there. It does feel to me like map 2 just isn't going to meet our needs. And if the other commissioners agree, then maybe we can stop discussing that.
Okay, so it sounds like, does it sound like that's a motion?
I can do that. Do we need a motion?
I will ask our county attorney.
Madam Chair, if I could weigh in really quickly, I actually don't think that would require a motion at this point. There's still more listening sessions to do. I think that's just the direction that the commission is going. So I would discourage a motion at this point.
So when we say we're removing it, where is that removed from, just for clarification?
I would say it's probably not being considered and actively discussed, but I think that it should still be open for, if a member of the public at a future meeting wants to address it.
Okay. Okay. All right. So moving right along then, if we have no further direction, questions, comments from the commission in regards to item 6, direction to staff, that concludes our meeting and we are adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.